Premier League Predictor is back for Game Week 11. Premier League Predictor rules are on the screen right now. Pause the video if you need to get to know them. Without further ado, let's get into this. Remember guys, this is the series where you guys get involved with your predictions as well. So when I make my predictions later on in the video, make sure you're getting yours into the comments. This is an early upload today because the first game of the game week is tonight at, I believe, 8 PM. So I made the video a little bit earlier so you guys have time to get your predictions in. First up are Game Week 10 results. Now, this is the most aesthetically pleasing results I've had all series because we've got two reds at the top, two reds at the bottom, and the rest are green. It just looks pretty, frankly. But did we get a good score? Well, no. We got a game week total of 6, which isn't awful, but isn't good considering how close we came with some of our results. Season total now sat on 62. So we got nothing for the Leicester versus Bournemouth game. I'm going to get the scores up on the screen for myself to look at here. The Leicester versus Bournemouth game obviously ended in a Bournemouth win, so we got that completely wrong. The Chelsea versus Wolves game, we were 1 goal off getting the correct score, which is annoying. The City versus Southampton game, we were 1 goal off from getting the perfect score, which is also annoying. The Newcastle versus Brentford game, they thrashed Brentford in the end, so we weren't close to that one. Brighton and Tottenham, we were 1 goal off getting the perfect score there as well. Palace versus Leeds, guess what? 1 goal off getting the perfect score there as well. West Ham versus Fulham, 1 goal off again. Arsenal versus Liverpool, 1 goal off again. Man United versus Everton, 1 goal off. So, you know, well, Nottingham Forest Villa, 1 goal off again. It was a weekend of me being 1 goal away from getting my predictions absolutely perfect. So it was a good week, but the score just doesn't represent it. However, let's see how you guys got on. Steiben tops the leaderboard this week with 3 correct scores and 4 correct results, 19 points, which I think is the second highest score we've ever had in Premier League Predictor. So congratulations to him. Ben coming in second with 13 points, 2 scores, 3 results. And White Noise coming in third with 12 points, 2 scores, 2 results. Very competitive week this week. As you can see, more and more people are getting involved in this series. If you want a chance to see your name at the top of this leaderboard, make sure you get your predictions in the comments right now as I go on to predict my scores before this game week starts. Game week 11 sees some very interesting fixtures indeed. We have the likes of Man United, Newcastle, I think will be a tight game, and of course Liverpool versus Man City, easily the biggest fixture of the week. But we're starting Brentford versus Brighton. Now Brighton did unfortunately lose to Spurs this weekend, but put a pretty good fight up, only losing 1-0, and Brentford got absolutely thrashed by Newcastle. So with all of that in mind, where do I think this fixture is going to go? Well, Brentford are obviously going to have lots of low self-esteem as a result of that absolute thrashing last weekend, and Brighton can be pretty happy with their result, really. They didn't get any points from the game, but they performed very well and kept the score down. I think it's still going to be a tight fixture, but I only see Brighton coming out of this with 3 points. So I've gone for 1-0, a pretty safe bet really this week. I think Brighton are pretty much guaranteed to get the win, but will it potentially be a draw? Yeah, it could be, but we're going Brighton. Leicester Crystal Palace then. Well, Leicester bitterly disappointed me last weekend, losing to Bournemouth. A game which I kind of backed Leicester. I thought they had turned a corner. I thought they were going to go places. Apparently not. Crystal Palace did get a good win against Leeds as well, so confidence will be high there. I've gone for a draw here. I've gone for a 2-2. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game because both defences are pretty leaky. But I think that Leicester just haven't got what it takes to really get the wins and get the points on the table this season. So as much as I want to go with Leicester, because that's what my gut is saying is going to happen, I'm playing the game a bit safe and playing it more intelligently. I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. And yeah, a share of the points I think would be fair here. Bournemouth versus Fulham sees 8th play 9th this weekend, which is mental to think that that's actually the statistic that we're coming out with for Bournemouth and Fulham. But there you go. I think this will be a very tight game. These guys are going to want to keep their place at the top half of the Premier League table for as long as possible this season before inevitably other teams catch them up. I think it's going to be my board draw of the week. I've gone for 0-0. I think both teams will just tighten up defence when they don't want to drop points against a team that is around them in the Premier League table. Nottingham Forest are currently sat 19th in the Premier League. Wolves, not much better. This is a relegation battle game, and it is literally a 6-pointer. If we get to May and these teams are both in the same similar positions later on in the season, we could look back to this fixture as the one that decided it. And out of the two teams, I don't see Forest really having enough to see off Wolves. We had such promise for Forest when they came up. I think a lot of people wanted to see them succeed, but Wolves are just the better side at the end of the day. I'm going for a Wolves win, 2-1 in this game. I think both teams will score, but I think Wolves being the home side in a crucial fixture will be able to see off their opponent. Spurs have only dropped points in 2 games out of the last 6, and they're up against Everton, who are sitting in 12th position in the table right now. Spurs, of course, in 3rd. I don't see Spurs having an issue here. I think they're very easily going to walk through this Everton side, and I don't really think they'll get out of second gear, if I'm honest with you. Heung-min Son starting to get on the score sheet now. He's working very well with Harry Kane as well. They had a good game in Europe this week too. I think that they're getting confident now, and I think they'll want to. If I just take a look at the table, they are only 3 points behind City and 4 points behind Arsenal currently. They won't want to sink too much further behind than that if they want to start thinking about challenging for the title this season. So a game against Everton has to go pretty straightforward. I'm going for a 3-0 win. I think that's what the score will be in this game, and I just don't see Everton getting a goal. I think Spurs will shut up shop pretty quickly, get their couple of goals in and sit on a good lead. Since Potter came in, Chelsea's form has been on the rise, and I don't see that being any different here against Aston Villa. Villa are a team that I think are potentially in trouble this season. They're sinking down the Premier League table game by game, and I don't see that really changing. Chelsea, on the other hand, have had a good game in Europe this week and should be pretty confident going into this game. Aubameyang's scoring goals. The rest of the team just seems to be ticking over really nicely, and I think the squad rotation is really working for them. Mason Mount in great form. He was easily man of the match in Europe this week. Ruben Loftus-Cheek getting a run in the team as well, which is nice to see. So I think Chelsea are in a very strong position right now. I can only see an away win here, and I've gone for 3-1. I think Villa might nick an early goal, and then Chelsea will go, hold on, we need to do this properly now. Go and score 3 goals and see off the game. Arsenal have only lost 1 game in the last 6. The rest of them have been wins. And I don't see that changing here. The only team they've actually lost to is Manchester United, weirdly. They're up against Leeds away from home. But I don't see that really impacting Arsenal. I'm making this prediction before their UEFA Cup game, European League game, should I say, Europa League game. UEFA Cup, hasn't been that for ages. Europa League game tonight, so if a massive injury goes into like Gabriel Jesus or Martinelli or anything, I won't know until the weekend, obviously. I won't have seen it before making this prediction. But 4-1, I think, is what the score will be. Again, Leeds have got a chance of nicking a goal against Arsenal. Their defence is easily their weakest point, but the Arsenal attack is going to be far too much for Leeds to deal with. Putting 4 goals away, we'll go for Saka and Jesus and Martinelli all to get a goal each. Now, you laugh when I say that I thought Manchester United versus Newcastle was one of the biggest games this week. However, it's 5th versus 6th. It's genuinely a battle for European places between these two teams at the moment. Newcastle, of course, that team kind of on the rise, but their recent form has been pretty poor, really. Getting 2 wins out of the last 6 with 3 draws in there. Manchester United have won every game except one, which was that drumming by City a couple of game weeks ago. So, which team is going to come out on top here? I honestly think that we're going to get a bit of a shock. I don't think Manchester United are going to get the win. I think they're going to lose. I've gone for 3-2 to Newcastle. Easily one of the most interesting games of the week. But I'm being a very realistic Manchester United fan. I don't think the squad depth is there. And I think when you come to having a European game, weekend game, European game, weekend game like we're having right now, again, haven't seen United's game this evening before making this prediction. I'm making this at Thursday at 4 o'clock. So I don't think Again, they could perform really well tonight and I'd be completely mind-boggled and I'll change my prediction. But right now, I just don't think United are impressing me enough. They're getting through games and they're getting wins, but it's not convincing. Newcastle aren't a team you can just dawdle across and try and get a win against. And most recent performances for United haven't been great. So I think this is the best time to play Man United, this season at least. And Newcastle are a team that really need to start making a statement now. They've got the money, they've made a few signings, and they want to start climbing the Premier League. A 3-2 win against Man United might be the step they need. Two teams that haven't had great form this season are Southampton and West Ham. Southampton have lost all of their 4 last games, and West Ham have only won 50% of them. West Ham is a team that I kind of expected to be battling in the top 5-6 Premier League teams in the league this year. Hasn't happened for them. Instead, they're looking at a 13th place finish at the moment, but they have won their last 2 games and it looks like they might have turned their form around a little bit. In this game, what do I see happening? Southampton, for me, are a pretty easy team to play at the moment. I think tactically, defensively, they're kind of all over the shop. And if I was a manager and I was like, right, which team do I want to play next week? Apart from maybe Nottingham Forest, I think I would pick Southampton. I think they're the team that is easy to predict and easy to set out against at this point in the season. West Ham United, I've got as an away win, getting 2-0. And I don't see that result really going any other way. Now, I was making these predictions, actually. I was making the images for this episode last night, watching the Liverpool versus Rangers game. And at the time, it was it was 1-1. I believe, and I was there like, I don't think Liverpool have got this, guys. I just don't think Liverpool are really what we want to see right now. I don't think that they're a shadow of themselves from a couple of years ago. Where we think of Liverpool as a team that win loads of games. That's because we're living in the past. They're not as good anymore. They're getting held by Rangers. And then Mo Salah comes on and scores the quickest hat-trick in Champions League history. And they absolutely thrash Rangers by the end of the game. So this prediction looks a little bit harsh on Liverpool based on that result. But I think watching the game up until that point, they didn't look much better than Rangers. It took an injection of Mo Salah to come in and completely change the game. So I've gone for a 4-1 away win to Manchester City. In my opinion, Manchester City are easily a better side than Liverpool this year. And Liverpool, I don't think, are going to regain any form in this game within the Premier League. I just don't see it. At the moment, Manchester City are a broken machine. They are led by the robot that is Haaland. I just don't see them slowing down. That's one of the only reasons I don't see Arsenal winning the Premier League. I want Arsenal to win the Premier League ahead of City, of course I do. And I do think they've got a good chance. They're a very strong side. But Haaland is going to keep churning out goals game after game after game. It's so hard to keep up with that pace. And I think the City are just going to see Liverpool and go, mid-table team, see you later, job done, let's not go on to the next one. I just think it's going to be straightforward. It's frustrating because it's not really how I want the Premier League to be. I'd rather, you can lose against anybody, you can win against anybody. But Liverpool at the moment don't have what it takes to take on City. Liverpool fans, come at me in the comments, but it is what it is. So here's a roundup of Matt Ayres' Game Week 11 predictions for the Premier League. Brentford to lose 1-0 to Brighton at home. Leicester and Crystal Palace to draw 2-2. Fulham and Bournemouth are my bore drawer of the week. Wolves to win 2-1 against Forest. Spurs to win 3-0 against Everton at home. Villa to lose 3-1 to Chelsea. Leeds to lose 4-1 at home to Arsenal. Manchester United, this is the shock result of the week. Newcastle are going to beat them 3-2. Southampton to lose 2-0 to West Ham, and Liverpool to get thrashed by Manchester City 4-1. Reminder guys, get all of your predictions in the comments right now before that Brentford versus Brighton game kicks off on Friday evening. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you see when these videos go live so that you guys are getting your predictions in on time. Make sure you let me know about my predictions as well. Hit the like rating if you think I've been a bit ambitious this week. And I will see you guys in the next one.